In the Bible, Jesus was tempted by the devil. And Jesus said no, but one of the temptations was the devil offered Jesus all the kingdoms of earth. So they stood up on the mountain, and the devil showed him all the world and said, I'll give it to you. You can be its ruler. Well, the meaning is the devil owns it. If it's not his, he can't give it away. So it's not that God created the world and he's the ruler, but the devil sneaks in and tries to do a few bad things and corrupt it in some way. Oh, no, 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 no. This is the devil's world. We're living on a planet. The whole planet belongs to the devil. It's a kind of hell. We're in it. We are behind enemy lines. So, when we see the news every day, the politicians, the banksters, they have power in the world, shaping human society, controlling world events. But we know from the gospel story, they can only have power if it was given to them by the devil. So either consciously or unconsciously, all of them, the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, are instruments of the devil. They're either consciously cooperating with the devil. That's why we see so much Satanism in government circles. Or they're unwitting, unconscious, naive instruments of the devil, and without realizing it, they're doing the devil's plan, thinking they're doing something good, not knowing the whole big picture. A useful idiot, as it were. So the politicians, the governments, the rulers of the banking system, those bloodlines of the banks, the BIS, the IMF, the World Bank, all those centres of power are centres of the devil's power. And it's through them he is running the world. On the outside, we just see a human being, a human occupying the office of president or CEO of a banking corporation. But through them, they are a conduit for the devil's intentions. His plans become their thoughts, their intentions. And in this way, the devil keeps the world in chaos, poor against rich, black against white, Muslim against Christian, East against West. Divide and conquer. The devil is our real enemy, but instead, in a very subtle, deceiving, abstractions not apparent to our eye, instead he keeps us fighting each other without us even knowing that the devil even exists. Most people don't believe that, and instead we just focus on the guy in front of us without knowing the real reason why the world is always at war: poverty, disease, international disagreements, all the crime, all the problems we see, the social issues. Why the policies, government policies, seem insane. Because directly or indirectly, it's all coming from the devil. He is the source through what Paul called the powers and principalities in high places. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, we wrestle against powers and principalities in high places, says Paul, somewhere in the New Testament. So when you see the news, all those famous people with the power, one way or another, they are serving the devil, or they wouldn't have any power in the world anyway, because it's his world and he chooses who gets the power. We only have the choice to refuse any power. And so we find in the gospel story, Jesus had 3 enemies. When he went to the temple, he kicked over the tables of the money changers. Well, the money changers today, that's Wall Street. That's the City of London, inside London City. The Anglo-American fractional reserve banking system. Really, the original focus was London, although it spread to America now, to New York. So when Jesus kicked over the tables of the money changers in the temple, he was rebelling. This was revolution against powers and principalities in high places, the money changers, the financial system. Also, Jesus was opposed to the Pharisees and Sadducees, the religious authorities. Well, today that would be the Vatican, the religious centre of power. And the third, yes, so they are also the Pope and all the other religious authorities controlling people's beliefs. Catholic and Protestant, they are instruments of the devil, consciously or unconsciously. Powers and principalities in high places. And the art is so subtle that even good men don't know they're being used by the devil. The third enemy that Jesus opposed was Rome. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God. So Jesus criticised the Romans, and they were his enemy also. And they are the military force in the world. Well, today, that centre is called the Pentagon, Washington. And so in Jesus' time, we had the money changers, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the Roman army, the Roman Empire. Today we have the fractional reserve banking system, London, New York, the Vatican, and the Pentagon in Washington, the 3 city-states. And all those rulers, the same as Jesus' day, are the principalities and powers against which we wrestle. For they wouldn't have any power unless they were useful in some way. to the devil himself. And through them, he keeps the human species at war, in perpetual crisis, fighting against themselves and not fighting him.